I found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me at a nightclub. Her parents disowned her when they found out, and she vehemently denies it while accusing me. I'm 28 and she's 25. A few hours ago, I found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me at a nightclub with some stranger. Here's what happened. A friend of my girlfriend's sent me some photos of them at a nightclub, a place they've been frequenting since last year. This was not surprising, as my girlfriend likes to party with her friends and they often go on girls' nights out. However, as I was browsing through the photos, I noticed a man in the background with her. They seemed to be very close, which upset me. I quickly checked my girlfriend's Snap score and decided to send her a snap. I'd never done this before, but at that moment I almost choked. Her score went up 42 points, and then she finally replied to my message, saying that she'd felt bored that night, so she'd been chatting to someone else and had ignored me directly. I said that, according to some messages her friends had sent me on Snap, it didn't seem like she was bored. She said that she had to save face and make everyone think she was having a good time. Then she sent another message saying that she had a headache. I told her I could pick her up. She read the message without responding, and then I sent another one asking if she needed me to pick her up. The photos her friend was sending stopped, and she stopped posting photos to her circle. I messaged her friend asking if my girlfriend was okay and if I should take her home, but she didn't open it. I lay in bed tossing and turning, my mind filled with worry and frustration. Why didn't she reply? Why had her friend suddenly stopped posting? This and that. The image of the guy in the club with her kept replaying in my head, fueling my anxiety. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong and that this girl was having a night out that was much more than she was letting on. Finally, I decided to take action, got out of bed and drove to the club where she was. Yes, maybe I was exaggerating things, but I needed to know. I'm not usually like this, but something was off. On the drive to the club, I kept thinking about what I would find when I got there. Whether she would be okay, if she was really sick, if I was just being paranoid, if I looked like a crazy boyfriend. I mean, a few weeks ago I was definitely thinking about marrying this woman, but now I'm not so sure. Everything felt so chaotic. As I pulled up to the stupid club, I had to convince myself that I didn't look like a fool until I walked in and saw her sitting with some guy I didn't know. They were exchanging spit in the back of the club, sitting in some booth. Her friend was the first to see me. Ran over to tell her I was there. Then she basically pushed the guy away and told him something. He left, but I don't know where he went. I walked up to them. She tried to tell me that things weren't what they seemed. I said, "That's exactly what they seemed like." I asked who the guy was. She tried to tell me there wasn't a guy, said I was imagining things. I think the atmosphere was tense, no matter what we said. Her friend asked the security guard to get me out of there, and the security guard dragged me out of the club. I'm now tapping these words out on the couch. She tried to call me, but I set it to answer. She sent me a text, saying that I've messed everything up, that I don't trust her anymore, that I'm completely out of control, and that I have no right to just show up. I'm gonna pack my things and go stay at a friend's house. I don't know what to think. I saw what I saw. I know she was with a guy. That's the update. After 5 years, it's over. I've only been in one relationship before, and it didn't end well. I've been hurt by life and she knows it. My high school girlfriend ended up tragically passing away. After the initial pain, I wasn't ready for a girlfriend, and I was too young at the time. I think maybe I got involved with her without really knowing who she was. I still remember the day we met vividly. It was my first time at a music festival. My friends were actually going, but that wasn't really my scene. I did like music, but I didn't like crowds, so I never went clubbing with her, so it ended up being a girls' night out. I spent most of the festival reading a book on the side, which made me happy, when suddenly she came up to me. She had purple hair and the perfect body, dressed like a fairy, all glittering, like out of a movie. A breeze blew by, and I smelled her perfume. Without hesitation, she said I looked lonely, then sat down next to me and suggested we take turns reading aloud from my book. But now it's all ruined. It was all a lie. This devil woman completely captivated me. I always thought she wasn't my type. We were complete opposites, but I thought that's what made it work. I'm an introvert, and she's the most extrovert person I've ever met. Honestly, she's very hot, and it seemed like a perfect match. She dragged me to all kinds of festivals and events. while I preferred to blend into the background with her. She really took me out of my comfort zone, and I was grateful at the time. She even got excited about my hobbies and went hiking and playing video games with me. But now I know that she was trying to turn me into someone I'm not, and I realized that I don't even know myself anymore. About 2 years ago, I got a great opportunity to become an IT technician, and my friend started a business which really pushed me to the limit. It was something I always wanted to do, but it required a lot of effort. I worked long hours and often overtime, so I didn't go out to clubs and shows at weekends or weeknights. I just wanted to relax at home and relieve stress. But she didn't like that. I didn't want to be the boyfriend who was a burden and prevented her from doing the things she liked, so she went out and I stayed at home playing video games. I found out who it was. I think it was the manager of the club she went to with her friends for girls' nights out. He organized pub crawls and stuff like that, and I think that's how they first met. On St. Patrick's Day, she went to a pub crawl around the time I got this new job. She always said he was gay, but a friend of mine said he was a notorious womanizer. I don't believe a word my ex-wife says. She's always using girlfriend's nights out as an excuse to meet up with him. Anyway, it's been a week since I recently went to her house with 2 friends to pack up my things and take my tools away from the workbench. Her mother happened to be there, and I didn't expect her to tell her that I was leaving her daughter. She was completely shocked. I told her that her daughter was cheating on her. She looked as if she was going to throw up. I said, "Yes, tell me." She immediately blushed and asked me if it was true. My ex-wife started getting mad at me, calling me an asshole and a liar, saying that I couldn't get it up with her mother, that she was trying to tell her mother that I had no idea what I was talking about, that there was no man, that I was just insecure and looking for an excuse to get rid of her. Her mother yelled at her in front of me, asking her who she thought she was to treat me like that. How could she do this to me? Her mother knew that I had considered marrying her, even though I had proposed to her and my girlfriend's father, and they really loved me. To be honest, I have never had a good relationship with my biological parents. They made me feel like they were their own children. Anyway, her mother brought it up and told her I was going to marry her, and she ruined it, completely ruined her life and future. They won't help her with her master's degree anymore. She wanted to do a master's in psychology, and they said they won't help her now either. She has to pay her own bills. Her mother told her that she was on her own. After that, they started screaming at each other while I was packing the last of my things. I had to leave. I couldn't take it anymore. My friends were nice and helped me pack quickly so I could get out of there. I moved in with a friend for a while until I found my own place. We shared a checking account, and I withdrew the money and deposited it in my savings account. I also canceled her car insurance because I was paying for it. She also talked me into going to a few concerts that I really didn't want to go to, so I sold the tickets. We also paid for our phone bills together, which I quickly canceled, but due to the billing cycle, I had to wait until the following month to completely cancel the renewal. She quickly realized that I had taken money from the account she had called from, and she got furious with me, saying that she didn't have any money for her medication that month. I said, "Whose fault is it that I blocked her number?" And then she tried to contact me via Facebook and Instagram, which I didn't accept. She posted a picture of her tongue kissing the guy, and she tried to send me sexually suggestive memes on Instagram, saying that he was gay but his tongue was down her throat. How is that even possible? I continued to block her stupid account, and then she tried to chat with me on Snapchat, saying that I owed her money and that I had left her homeless. She crashed her car and suffered heavy losses, only to find out that I had canceled her insurance policy. A friend of hers who went to the club with her tried to talk to me, telling me that treating an ex-girlfriend like this and leaving her helpless was beyond comprehension. After that, I blocked her friend as well. I deleted all her friends and family on social media. I can't lie, I'm still in a lot of pain. I have my own space now, I haven't started dating yet, I just still feel empty. Update 3. It's hard for me to describe how I feel right now. It's a mixture of anger, jealousy, revenge, shame, venting, ending it all. I feel low, really low, and when you imagine spending your future with someone, it all changes within minutes. I feel like days are dragging on forever, the pain of betrayal weighing heavily on my heart, the silence in the empty apartment a frightening reminder of the emptiness she left behind. To be honest, I thought it would last forever. I tried to distract myself with work and hobbies, but nothing could fill the void she left in my heart. Then a friend invited me to go to the gym with him once, and I just kept going with him. And then, when I started to feel a bit more confident about going to the gym alone, I started going on my own. I was never a gym person, but slowly I started to find myself again and no longer needed the company of others. It may sound silly, but whatever I felt, it was better. Her parents kept in touch and told me to feel free to visit and not to be a stranger. They cut ties with her and have no contact at all. Her mother said they didn't lend her the money for her master's program, so she didn't end up going because she didn't have the money. They don't actually think she has a job now because it's a 12-month contract position, and they think she's living with her friend from the club because she can't afford to live where we are on her own. Her parents said she tried to live with them, but they refused. They said they were fed up with freeloaders. They really love me like a son and say they wish I was their biological child. It's awful because I love them and always have, but sometimes I feel like they're just a part of my past and I've moved on before they did. She still tries to tell them he's gay, even though she posted some sweet things about him on social media, but it was just harmless banter and it's not going anywhere because he doesn't like girls. To this day, she still denies that anything happened between them, and if it did, it must have been because they were both drunk and she didn't mean to, and it's no big deal and she never wanted to do it. She says she doesn't even remember what happened that night, and they say that's fine, but what about the year before? She was so deep in it, she didn't even know where she was. One of our mutual friends told me that apparently she's not even with that guy anymore, even though he dumped her like a hot potato. I guess he was actually fired from that club for harassing women in the bar, and the female employees there are still following her on Facebook, where she posts videos and soap stories about how she lost everything and her family abandoned her, all because I lied to them that it was all a big misunderstanding, that I was the heartless one, blah blah blah. Honestly, it made me start thinking about the whole relationship and how many times she really did cheat on me. She used to go away for the weekend with her friends for festivals, and I didn't talk to her, just because I wanted her to have fun and soak up the experience. Well, I wonder if she really did soak it up. I don't know if I can trust anything she tells me anymore. I booked a few sessions with a therapist to see if we can help, just to talk to someone who doesn't know us or our relationship or story. It was nice to have someone to talk to, and I really looked forward to it. My own parents actually came to visit me and stayed for a week. It was nice to see them and have someone in the house. It felt like we were living there. Somehow she called me through this number. I thought it was my therapist's office. She tried to apologize. She said she hadn't cheated with this man before, only a few times, and it was after the first time he forced her to do it. She said she did it because I didn't pay enough attention to her and that I played video games too much. She said she used to love going out with me and doing anything, that I didn't make her feel pretty and didn't care about how I looked, that she was embarrassed to go out with me and didn't want to be seen in public. I couldn't believe I let her talk for so long, but as soon as she asked for another chance and said she would change and do whatever I wanted, I hung up immediately. When I told her parents that she was back, they actually laughed and told me that she wanted to go there too, but they wouldn't even let her in the door and told her that if she showed up again, they would call the police. They said that she seemed to have left everything in her car, so she probably lived in it. That was her life now. Story 2. My ex-husband cheated on me and left me for his 18-year-old assistant, and 17 years later he tried to come back to me. I'm 49 and my ex-husband's name is Jack. He's 53. We have 3 children, Kyle, 18, Carter, 21, and KNX, 25. He was cheating on me with his assistant Abigail when Kyle was conceived. Abigail was an 18-year-old college freshman, and a year later she was pregnant with Lizzie. I refused to forgive him. We got divorced and he married her. He went on to have 2 more children with her. He pays child support, but that's about it, and only once a month. But if one of the kids asks him for something, he'll agree to buy it, but won't answer the kids' phone calls until he thinks I've gotten them what they want. He won't attend any of the kids' sporting events or plays, but if his aunt and mom go, then he'll go. His aunt and mother are both barristers and he needs their approval. His family is a bit superficial. If someone doesn't have a prestigious position, then they look down on them. Any kind of gossip is seen as negative. They will scold you loudly for letting the family image suffer. So in front of them, Jack will brag about everything he does for the children, when in fact he doesn't do anything. But my children see their family holidays, which initially made them sad, but they started to ignore it, and he told them it was because I took them on holiday twice a year, whereas Lizzie only went once. He just told his family it was because the kids didn't want to go. But at the Christmas party, Lizzie was talking to her aunts about the upcoming trip to the Dominican Republic. Kyle asked what they were talking about, and Lizzie explained that their whole family was going on a trip, and her dad said they had other plans. Kyle explained that neither she nor her brother had any plans, so they were happy to come here. This is where the problem lies. My children are far away from their father, and it bothers me all the time. So I went on vacation with them, and his wife was not happy, but I get along well with his family, so it's not surprising. At one dinner, my daughter and Carter went to a very famous university. My oldest child is studying medicine, so his mother asked how the children were doing. My daughter explained that she had been selected for an internship at a technology company, and everyone congratulated her. Then his mother asked about Lizzie, and my daughter told me that Lizzie had been bragging about a secret everyone thought she had gotten into her dream college. So his mother laughed happily, waiting to congratulate her. But Lizzie explained that she was pregnant, and everyone's face turned green, including Jack's, and everyone began to question Jack and Abigail's parenting. Jack said it was Lizzie's fault because his parenting style is the result of my child's success. I was tired of the lies and explained that he never showed up unless his family was there, so he could look good in front of them. Then they asked if it was true, and he tried to lie and say of course not. Then Kyle chimed in that he didn't even invite them on vacation. He was a terrible liar and a terrible father. Kyle stormed off, and I followed with my sons. Later, I got a text from Jack thanking me for ruining his family. I didn't reply to the text. I did feel bad because it might not have been the right time or place. On no consensus bot rated NTA based on comments. Top comments: Careless Encore Alliance 9494 NTA. If he wasn't such a terrible person, there wouldn't be anything bad to say about him. It always seems crazy to me when people blame others for the consequences of their actions and refuse to lie for them. Still, Encore Actuator 8316 NTA. He dug his own hole and then stepped in it. Updated February 23, 2024. February 23, 2024. The first thing I want to answer is why I felt the need to bring my children along. I am good friends with his sister and have traveled with them often since high school. I have always been a mom, so I would never intentionally put my children in a situation where I could not care for them. Then the situation escalated, and I got a call from his wife saying she couldn't find my husband and that he better not be in my room. I told her he wasn't, and she hung up. Then I heard someone knocking at the door, and I opened it to find Abigail barging into my room, screaming that her husband was in there. I let her in because I didn't know what was going on, and when she couldn't find him, she just sat on the floor and cried silently. It was a very awkward situation, and I didn't know what to do. It didn't seem right to throw her out, so I just asked her what was wrong. She explained that Jack had been verbally abusing her for the past 17 years, claiming that she and Lizzie had ruined his happiness. When Lizzie turned 18, Jack promised that he would leave me for her, but every time she asked him when he would leave her, he would fly into a rage with her. So she deliberately got pregnant to set him up, but Jack tried to pay her to get an abortion. When I found out and filed for divorce, he thought it would be best to stay with her, but he would yell at her every day, calling her useless, and it was obvious that he had been cheating on her. The reason she stayed was because she dropped out of school and hasn't worked since she started working in his office 18 years ago. She apologized for barging in and left. I texted Jack that he might want to check on his wife because she seemed unpredictable right now. I didn't get a reply, so I assumed everything was fine and went straight to bed. But when I woke up the next morning, I got a long text from Jack, so I'll just summarize what he said. He was so sorry for ruining our marriage. It was the biggest mistake he'd ever made. He wished he'd spent more time with me and the kids, and he hated seeing Liz and Abigail every day. He explained that's why he worked overtime to get away from them, and that affected our kids. He said Abigail explained how she told me everything, and he was finally glad the truth came out so he could stay away from them. He hoped after all this time I could forgive him and we could fix our relationship. I explained to him we don't need a relationship. I'm remarried and the kids are grown, so he should focus on fixing their relationship. He didn't text back. I explained to the kids I had to leave early, but they should enjoy the rest of the trip. Kyle didn't want to stay, but the kids were willing to go home with Kyle. I texted the kids to ask how the trip was, and he explained that everything was terrible and that Jake and Abigail weren't speaking. Top comments: 1962 Bolt damn NTA, you didn't embarrass him. He screwed up on his own. Remember that and move on. X sparkling Uncor Jober 7996 NTA. Your ex is awful and you dodged a big bomb. It's crazy that he really thought you'd forgive him. He's absolutely despicable. After learning that that's not the case, he's living in his own karma. I feel bad for his wife, but if they did it to you, they'll do it to you. I'm glad you've recovered and moved on.